Good evening for IIF members and MMA members. And before starting the program, I am requesting everyone to put your mobile phone either on switch off mode or in the silent mode, so that it's not disturbing the speaker. We from IIF Chennai chapter started this management program in tie-up with MMA for last tenure, and this is our fifth MMA joint program. And we have an interesting topic today, storytelling about success by distinguished speaker Mr. Dr. Sundararaman Chintamani, business consultant, author. I think we are having about fifth author to talk about the topics. And I think we are all grown by hearing stories. And the kaka vada, all these part stories, everything we learned by the way when we all grown up from the childhood. And when we grown up and we also heard Tanali Raman stories, many stories on a management part. I'm sure that today topic would give a lot of enrichment and our knowledge. To start the program, I'm requesting our chapter chairman, Mr. V.K. Raman sir, welcome the gathering in formal manner.
Thank you, Senthil. It's our immense pleasure to welcome you all for this wonderful evening program. Both MMA members and IIF members. So every month, the last Saturday, we used to conduct such a program, right from last year. So if you go back last Saturday or earlier month Saturday, we talked about management lessons from the world of cricket and enhancing our internal energy through sound therapy. So like that, program has been conducted with the help of MMA. So today, I welcome Dr. Sundararaman Chintamani, founder and CEO, Jigyan to conduct this program. I also welcome all the MMA members and IIF members for this program. Thank you very much.
Now I request our Vice Chairman of Chennai Chapter, Mr. Vignesh Ramanan, introduce the speaker to the audience, please.
A very warm evening, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me immense pleasure in introducing our distinguished speaker for the evening, Dr. Sundararaman Chintamani, founder of Jignayashika. Dr. Sundararaman Chintamani is a mindset master who helps people master their mind for greater success. He closely works with organizations and individuals in nurturing their creative mindset to improve their lateral thinking. He speaks on different kinds of mindsets and how they can be improved. Dr. Sundararaman also conducts workshops on design thinking, power of creativity, mind mapping, presentation mastery, public speaking skills, and IT for oil and gas industry. He believes in the power of metaphors and bringing in metaphorical examples to improve the stickiness while sharing life lessons. Now coming to his experience, Dr. Sundararaman comes with 35 years plus experience with multiple industry backgrounds. He started his career in petroleum refinery as a chemical engineer. His last job was with a Indian IT company as oil and gas practice head. Currently, Dr. Sundararaman is currently the founder and CEO of Jignayashika, where the core principle is curiosity, that is Jignasa, leading to success, that is Yashika. His academics, Dr. Sundararaman is a chemical engineer by qualification, and he did his PhD on developing cybersecurity mandate for Indian oil and gas industry from the University of Petroleum and Energy Studies, Dehradun. He has strong association with academic institutions. He is also a visiting faculty for few of the Indian petroleum universities and few of the business schools. Now coming to his public speaking and professional speaking, Dr. Sundararaman has been a member of Toastmasters International for the past 12 years and achieved Distinguished Toastmasters DTM, the highest educational credential of Toastmasters. As an experienced Toastmaster, he mentors several individual Toastmasters and several Toastmaster clubs. Currently, he is also the Chennai chapter head of Professional Speakers Association of India, that is PSAI. As a thought leader, Dr. Sundararaman loves to share his 3.5 decades of experience with his peers. Hence, he is keen in participating in industry forums, seminars, and conferences by presenting papers. He is also quite active in blogging. Now, coming to his hobbies, Dr. Sundararaman loves Carnatic classical music. He tries to understand the theoretical aspects of music. He has written a book titled Raga Chintamani that covers the classical aspects of Tamil film music. Sundararaman sir loves quizzes and conducts thematic quizzes. For the past 5 years, every year he regularly conducts a quiz on arts. He also has a passion towards Tamil stories, novels, and writes book reviews about them. His interests are towards watercolor painting and luminescence as well. That's an introduction of our illustrious speaker for the day. The floor is yours, sir.
Good evening, members of IIF, MMA, and even my own fellow Toastmasters. I'm happy to be here. For next 1 hour, I'm going to talk about storytelling. Some of you may be thinking, Kadavadrekur Forum. So actually, after 40 years of my corporate experience, I wanted to be on my own as a corporate trainer as well as a consultant. So as a corporate trainer and consultant, the first job is to you have to identify the pain problem for your customer. And since I come from oil and gas industry, I thought of focusing on oil and gas. Then later I was working with IT industry, and I thought of finding out problem statements for IT industry, but still I felt that these are all again narrow areas. I wanted to take a broader domain, so where the problem statements are quite common and I should address a larger gathering. So that is when I thought of focusing on, based on my own Toastmaster experience, that is, why not I talk about communication skills, presentation skills. It was successful, but to some extent. So when I go to a corporate organization, most of the time I have to talk to the lower level people and try to conduct workshops on communication skills as well as presentation skills. But I wanted to go up in the ladder. I wanted to talk to the program managers, project managers, including the CXO level community. Most of these people, they are very good in communication. And again, if I have to go and talk about communication skill, I don't think people are ready to accept me as a trainer. So that is I tried to do a little deeper research and found that many people communicate, but very few people connect. So in fact, some of you may remember a book title that few people connect and many of them communicate. So these people, project managers, obviously they know what is to be delivered, what is to be talked to their team members, customers. They are very good in communication, but in terms of connecting with their stakeholders, they had challenges. And I tried to dig deep onto this. And the challenge of communication in today's corporate world is primarily because of two reasons. Number one, so as a project manager or as a program manager, so day in, day out, people come out with PowerPoint presentations, and invariably these PowerPoint presentations has got a huge number of charts, bar graphs, and then KPI metrics, etc., etc. And day in, day out, they only speak on numbers. Because they are under pressure, they have to deliver. So irrespective of the industry, whether it is IT industry or a manufacturing industry, they have a lot of challenges and they have to deliver and they have to talk to their team members. And sometimes they have to persuade the audience to complete certain talks in the given time. But invariably, it revolves around numbers. It's very difficult to connect with people with the numbers. And the second challenge here is, today we are in VUCA world, VUCA. VUCA, volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous world. So it's very difficult to grab the attention of the audience. It is not only limited to corporate world, even in our home front, it is very difficult to connect with people, so getting the attention span. Because if you go to any household, so we are almost 90% sure that each one of them will be carrying a mobile phone, and then each one will be in their own world. So in fact, today even the bigger screens are ignored. People watch movies, Netflix, YouTube. So each one has got their own taste, and each one they are in their own world. So if at all, if you have to call your children for dining hall, you have to send a message through WhatsApp. And I felt that we need to think about storytelling, because storytelling, using storytelling technique, it is easy to connect with the people. And once the people are connected with you, things becomes easy. As a manager or as an executive, as I said earlier, you have to always persuade and ask them to complete certain tasks, or if the organization is aiming for certain big initiatives like ISO 9000 or digital transformation, continuously you have to talk to people and then ask them to complete certain tasks. This persuasion always includes some logic. You have to talk with data points, and you should also try to touch upon their emotion. So obviously storytelling is the best solution. So as mentioned by one of the persons who was in the stage, storytelling is not new to us. Though the storytelling in corporate world has become a buzzword, storytelling concept-wise it is not new to us. So from time immemorial, people used to talk about stories. From our childhood days, we talk about all kind of stories, folk tales, fairy tales, and Panchatantra Kadais. So many things are there. In fact, if you see, even in prehistoric period, so after doing all the day long hunting, people used to assemble across the bonfire and then start exchanging their stories, what went well and what were the challenges they had, and they used to discuss on storytelling. So why storytelling? So why at all storytelling? Why not a PowerPoint presentation? Why not some kind of lecture? So why at all we are talking about storytelling? Why such kind of importance given today? So you all may be wondering. So the reason is the storytelling. Whenever we do storytelling, it is creating a lot of happy chemicals in your brain. So starting with oxytocin. So there are 4 chemicals, different kind of chemicals. These hormones are induced, and then people become attentive, and then they start listening to you. And the moment they start listening to you, it is easy to convey your message. So that is the power of storytelling. Right. So today, though the moment we talk about stories, so we are immediately reminded of Kaka Vadai story, Panchatantra story, folk tale, fairy tale, etc., etc. But can I go and tell these stories in a corporate ambience? So even my own team members, can I go and tell these stories? So obviously no. So we have to tell them something different. So we have to tell them about the business stories. Business stories, they are slightly different from the regular genre of storytelling. In storytelling, there are a lot of varieties are there. One is called personal storytelling. Second one is called, as I said, this folk tale, fairy tale kind of storytelling. Then the third and important aspect is corporate storytelling or business storytelling. Even personal storytelling, to some extent, you can tell in your corporate ambience. For example, yesterday I attended a function wherein there was a book release. The book is all about the successful entrepreneurs of Tamil Nadu. Around 27 authors were covered. So starting from Hudson, then your Zoho. So there were several cutting across verticals. They were talking about different kind of entrepreneurs and their success stories are mentioned. So definitely these kind of success stories can be told to employees, but to some extent. So you cannot repeat day in, day out about the success. Probably as a leader, I might have started my life from scratch. I would have studied under the street lamp, and today I have become a big leader. So in terms of my academic qualification or organization hierarchy, I can tell to induce the excitement, or I can start inspiring people, but I cannot repeat that forever. So this is where we have to come out with corporate storytelling. So corporate storytelling or business storytelling is nothing but business cases or incidents, that's all. So the one major difference here is when you talk about the motivational storytelling, you can always come out with some cooked up stories or made up stories, and people will not bothered so whether this story has really happened or not. But whereas when I talk about business storytelling, so I need to be authentic and my story need to be original. So let me quickly tell a small story. So probably some of you would have already heard this in WhatsApp. A balloons seller was there on street, and immediately people started running, the children started running, and they were paying 5 rupees, 10 rupees, and then they started collecting the balloon. So this balloon seller was actually selling a balloon filled with hydrogen. So people, what they do is, they buy it for money and then release it in the air. So actually the amount of time they keep that balloon in their hand is less than the time spent on buying that balloon. So but people, these children, they like that specific aspect, no, when the balloon is released in the air, and then they started tracking it. So one such balloon vendor was there. One dark complexioned boy went to this balloon seller. Have you heard this story, some of you? Yes. Okay. So this dark complexioned boy went there and asked this balloon seller a question, a profound question. So do you have a balloon with black color? Yes. Sir. So how much that cost? Same, 5 rupees. So will this also go into the air? When I release it, will it go into the air? Then the balloon seller said that it is not that color that matters, it is the what inside that matters. So actually this is a very, very short story which can be told in 1 minute, and that has also got a profound message. So what is the moral of the story?
Internal soundness, that is the person's
Okay.
mind and efficiency, character,
Correct.
and the content.
Yeah. So one need not be judged based on their appearance, whether he is short, dark, or tall. So based on physical appearance, you don't have to judge. So what is the content inside that person that matters? So that is a very, very valuable story. And we keep hearing such kind of stories in day out in WhatsApp. But the moment we see the story and then we say, wow, good. Then we brush aside, right? So we keep on moving to our day-to-day activities, because this is not impacting us. It is not having any connect with my corporate world. Okay, the story is good. Boss, you are a good storyteller, I understand. You are used to body language, vocal variety, and then you try to build up and then come out with a nice story. Good. But how does it matter to me? So how does it reflect in my work? So that is where we have to come out with the business storytelling, where we have to come out with business examples, how people have struggled or how people got motivated. So all these things should be realistic examples. So let me talk about this case study. So actually these are two popular hygienic products. One is Dettol and Savlon. So these two products I think most of you remember. So Dettol used to be the forerunner, and they were in the market before Savlon. And Dettol, the moment people buy Dettol, especially the mothers of children buy the Dettol and keep it as a reserve in their home. So whenever the child gets hurt, when the child gets a bruise or cut, immediately they will put Dettol, and immediately the child will start crying, because the moment the Dettol is applied, it will start irritating and it will have a pungent smell, right? But mother will say that no, then only you will get cured. So you cry for 10 minutes, it's okay, but after that you will become all right. So the next day you will become all right. So that is how the Dettol was positioned. So it is, when it is hurting, it means it is curing. So that is when Savlon came into market, and Savlon said that we are having a painless germ killer. So painless germ killer, and no odor, like no pungent smell like Dettol, and even when you put it in water, it will not change the color. The moment you put Dettol, it will become turbid and white. But Savlon positioned it in a different way, and people started buying, and Dettol was a little worried. And after some time, then the Dettol organization, they try to redefine their strategy. So how to not to lose their market share, and that is where they started coming out with this tagline saying that when it paints, it cures. When it paints, it cures. That means our product, we have not made any changes. It will paint, it is going to paint, and only when it paints, it is going to cure. And the people got convinced. Yes. So even in moral, we say that always when you suffer, then you will get the fruit, right? So only when you suffer, when you put hard work, then only you will get the better result. So without any suffering, you will never get the fruit of success. So you have to suffer, you have to get the pain. So and the people got convinced. And this is how they were trying to tackle the competition from Dettol. So these are all some of the business stories.
Sir, but does it mean that Savlon was not effective?
No, Savlon was equally effective. So technically specifications were almost same and it was also curing. But the market positioning, that needs to be.
But then Dettol was misguiding people, that way,
No. Dettol was saying the truth, saying that if it paints, it is getting cured. So they were standing to their credentials. So the moment the Savlon has come into market, they didn't become panic and they have not changed their strategy and they were sticking to their stand, saying that if it is hurting, if it is paining, then you are getting cured, and people got convinced. So especially the mothers.
Dettol should have gone for a painless product. They should have changed the product.
I'm sorry, I don't know whether you got the message. So they say that only when it is paining, it is curing, and the people believed it, especially the mothers. It is going to pain. So even when you go to a hospital, when the doctor is putting an injection, what does the mother say? So it is going to pain, but you will become all right. So moment you are injected with the medicine, so it is going to pain for moment, but after that you are going to become all right. So thus that kind of positioning helped the organization. Yeah, so Dettol again they have come back. So they were able to come back, catch up with the market share. So after this strategy, repositioning the strategy with the tagline. So otherwise they have not made any change in the product specification. They have not changed anything. So only the tagline, they said that when it is paining, it is curing. So let me, when you talk about storytelling, so I am suggesting all of you to, if at all, if you have some challenge with your own stakeholders, whether team members or customers, at appropriate position, at appropriate places, you can tell stories so that they will be able to connect with you. So not just for the sake of telling story, don't tell stories. And yet another disclaimer is never tell that you are going to tell a story, especially when something firefighting is going on, some escalation is happening. Don't tell that I am going to tell a story. So it is almost similar, at most something similar to telling the audience to know I am going to tell a joke and then tell a joke. People will stare at you with a poker face and then you will get the bulb moment. Right? So we never tell them that we are going to tell a joke. We casually tell. So like that, casually tell stories. And these stories, where can be the sources? So the sources are innumerous. So if you go to public domain, internet, all the possible case studies, all the, starting from Enron case study, and then so many, even it need not always be success stories. Even it can be failure stories. How Satyam had this scam, how Enron had this scam. So even you can talk about the failure stories and tell your team members what are all the precautions, what are all the things need to be taken care in terms of the integrity of the organization or in terms of compliance related kind of stuff. So even our own daily life, we can get the stories. I'm going to tell one story that I got from my uncle. My uncle used to be an auditor. So he used to be an auditor. He was from AG's office and he used to audit several departments. So this story happened almost 20 years back. So I thought still it will make sense. So when I went for an audit for a government office, government organization, he went for a government guest house auditing. So at that time he was going through the assets, and the assets he wanted to do the physical verification. So one particular item in the line item that was totally surprising him, and then he wanted to have a look at it. So it was mentioned as a stone, S-T-O-N-E, stone. And he asked the manager, what is this stone? Sir, I don't know. I came here 2 years back, and when I took charge, the previous manager handed over the stone to me. What is this stone? Is it a precious stone, or is it something specific for this department? They could not get any clue out of it, and my uncle was adamant saying that I want to see that if we have it. Yes sir, we have it. We kept it in our almirah. Then he took him to the almirah and then opened that, and he could see a small rock. So actually a small rock. So that is what mentioned as the stone. And both of them now got puzzled. So even the manager, he was doing his regular activities and he never got curiosity. But after the auditor asking this question, he has also got puzzled and he wanted to figure out how come this stone is there in the Almera and what is this all about. And then they try to go through all the past records, and that is when they found that those days, no, we used to have I think many of you, the people above 50 years, they would be familiar with the stove called pressure stove, a gas stove, kerosene stove, so which is pressurized, no. So it used to be made of a brass, so brass stove. So it will look like this. So this brass stove. So this brass stove was part of the guest house, and this people need to make coffee and tea for the guest. For that purpose, this gas stove was there, and somehow one of the persons who was in charge for this, he tried to sneak it out, and then he has taken it for his own personal gain, and he replaced this stove with a stone. And all he could do is in the ledger STOVE, instead of that he put STONE. That's it. And after that, no one was questioning that. So the stove became stone. So like that, a lot of interesting stories happen in and around us, and we need to keep our eyes and ears open. And every story should have a moral. What is the moral of this story? This story. Simple. So people need to have integrity, right? So people should not lout organization assets. Number two, if you go as an auditor, you have to verify all the assets. You have to do your job properly and try to figure out. You cannot accept whatever is shown to you. So like that, every story will have one or two message. So that is what it is. So now let me come out with another very interesting story. So which I used to tell, invariably I used to tell this in my design thinking workshop. How many of you have gone to an hospital and taken a MRI scan, either for yourselves or for any of your family members? Please raise your hand. Right. So how was this experience, sir? MRI scan experience?
Pushed into a tunnel-like thing.
Okay.
For 45 minutes, you have to spend your time there. It takes, 20-40 minutes is the problem.
No, what was your feeling? What were your feelings during that time?
Boring, and then of course some noisy thing and all this.
Okay. Oh, you sir?
No, I never met. My wife has went.
Okay.
I feel very nicely.
Okay. Anyone else? Someone else? Yes, sir. You raised your hand.
Not comfortable.
Okay.
And almost will be in a different panic level.
Right. So this is what I expected. So can you elaborate why you are not comfortable? Actually, MRI scan is the most non-invasive procedure, right? So no poking, no cutting of your limbs, nothing. So it is the most non-invasive and the safest scanning method. And once you get a MRI scan report, entire Jatakam will be available for the doctor, and immediately he can diagnose your problem immediately. So though it is a costly affair, but this is a boon for the medical community, for doctors as well as for the patient. But still you were not comfortable. Why?
One is the zone, because it's not the zone which we would like to be.
Okay.
Second is the loneliness in the queue. So also it's not too familiar for anybody.
True.
Second is we think too much when you are there.
When we are alone.
When you are alone in that queue, it's not an easy journey for whatever started period, 10 minutes or 30 minutes. It's not an easy period.
Thank
Despite you being whatever is outside, a racer, a car bike, but when you go there, you morally go down.
Lay down. True, true. So the reason here is, as he mentioned, no, first one is we are comfortable with something ugly and untidy. So when everything is clean, then we get a little bit of fear factor, because the MRI scan room will be the most tidiest room. So that will be kept so clean, number one. Number two, the moment you get into the room, the assistant will tell that you have to take out all your mobile, all metal objects, chain, etc., etc. Otherwise, there will be a huge magnetic force that can result into catastrophe or any accident. In fact, few years back, I read a newspaper item in Bombay. One young guy, so was 25 years old. He took his mother to MRI scan center. His mother was having lung problem and lung infection, and she has to always carry a oxygen cylinder, portable cylinder. So the moment they went to the scan center, MRI scan center, this assistant, he has not given proper instructions, and mother was about to be scanned, and this guy was sitting in the same room along with the oxygen cylinder as a companion or the patient attender. So the moment the scan machine was switched on, a huge magnetic field was generated, and the guy himself was pulled into the machine, and immediately on the spot he got killed. So this was one of the freakiest accidents which I have gone through the paper. So I think somewhere in Mumbai this incident happened. So the moment they start giving all these kind of instructions, you get scared. Then the third one is the different kind of sound level. So they will then so intermittently you will get all funny sounds, and he will also say that muche vidunga, muche vidunga. So all that, no, it is going to be a funny experience, and also the look and feel, right? So you are asked to sit on that stretcher kind of thing, and then you are put inside. So you almost no, you think that you are gone inside that Besanagar crematorium. So that kind of experience, will I come back or not? I have to keep quiet. So these are all some of the kind of feelings, emotions we get when we go to MRI scan. But of course, technically, this is the most most useful concept for the medical community as well as for the patients, because immediately the diagnosis can happen. So this guy on the screen, he was instrumental in designing this particular product. His name is Doug Dias. Doug Dias from General Electric. So as you all know, GE has got multiple divisions. They have aviation, they have the compressor division, then they have so many other divisions. One of them is a healthcare division, and this is where Doug Dias he is the chief designing engineer, and he was instrumental in coming out with this MRI scan machine. And knowing all the benefits for the community, he was so happy and excited, and he was really, his ego level went up like anything, and he used to visit all the hospitals and tell the hospitals, so this is my product, our team's product. How is it? Is it good? Yes. Okay, good, good, good. So he was so happy, and he was on at a different level. He was in cloud 9, so about his successful product. But one day when he went to one of the hospitals in the pediatric department, so there were some children, they were all crying, and the crying noise was heard. And Doug Dias was curious, how come MRI scan, the section, people, there is no injection, nothing, no, what is that, it is totally a non-invasive procedure. How come children are crying? Then he asked, and then the hospital staff told them that these people are, no, for 20 minutes you are not supposed to move out, right? You have to be immobile. And this is when the children, they will tend to move out, and then the attenders will give strong instructions not to move out. So that itself got scared. So as now just discussed, even when adults are so scared, obviously the children will be doubly scared. Second thing, some children, since they keep moving, they used to be sedated. Sedated means they have to be under partially, they have to be immobile for some time, half an hour or 1 hour, and after some time the anesthesia specialist will come and recover them. And at this point of time, Doug Dias felt so bad. So he thought he has come out with the wonderful invention, and this is going to be a huge, beneficial product for the entire world. But now some community, some people, especially children, unnecessarily they are being poked, they are being sedated, and most of the time, the MRI scan results, most of the time, almost 70% the results of the doctor will say everything is okay. I just to doubly cross check, I wanted you to have the MRI scan, but you are okay. Only 20% or 30% of the time they will have some challenges. So unnecessarily these children are being sedated, and this sedation may also have long-term effect on that. So that is when he was feeling so bad, and he thought that you should try to resolve this issue, and he tried to have a discussion with his team members, and nothing came out successfully. Then in fact he went to Stanford University had a D school, something like B school, D school stands for design school. So these people, they were the pioneers in a concept called design thinking. So design thinking is all about empathizing your customer and then coming out with innovative products through iterations. So not the concept level, you have to come out with prototypes and then show it to customers and then improvise until the customer or customers get satisfied. This is all about design thinking. He underwent this course and then he came back and he started having a fresh discussion with team members, and finally they were able to resolve this issue by doing some changes in the machine. Any idea what is that? They were able to solve this problem. Any idea?
They made the zone and the open zone instead of a covered one.
Oh, not like a hood, okay? Not really. So, mask.
Screen.
So what is that?
Playing video.
Oh, okay. So trying to divert their attention by having a mask and then play a video, but that is not the right answer. Anyone else? You can make a guess.
Change the entire environment tree-friendly kind of thing.
How is that?
The walls and the whole area was in like that.
Bingo, you got it. So I think they have not done functionally, they have not made any changes, but the look and feel they changed like this. So this MRI scan machine was almost transformed into something like a game and almost like a thematic game, right? So here they said that the children, they called all the volunteers, and these volunteers, they are supposed to tell a story to the children saying that these children are going for a marine voyage, and during this voyage, at any point of time, the pirates will come and attack them. So the moment the attender gives the signal, there is a chance that the pirates will come, and for 15 to 20 minutes they have to maintain the silence and they have to keep quiet. And after that, then they can come back to the original place. So that's all they have done. So this is known as G Adventure series. And the moment this was brought in, and people loved it, and then there are almost more or less, the children were not crying. And in fact, G came out with more such kind of models. More such models. One was having with the Disney theme, the Mickey Mouse, and yet another was aquarium kind of themes. So this became this was called as G Adventure series. And immediately for the hospital, they were able to process, or they were able to treat more patients. So for example, on a single day when the MRI scan utilization was only 100 people per day, so now all of a sudden the throughput went up. So now they are able to scan 150 people so that there is no backlog. They were able to treat more patients, number one. Number two, this hospital used to conduct the customer satisfaction survey, the patient satisfaction survey. So in that, patients he gave good ratings from 3 to 3.5 or 3 to 4, something like that. And the cost of treatment has also come down, right? Because for every time when the children need to be sedated, the anesthesia specialist has to come down, and they have to load it to the patient. So now we are not sure whether they will get it reimbursed through insurance. We don't know. So, but this cost has come down for the hospital as well as for the patient. And all these key metrics, they are all the key metrics for the hospital. They all improved. But still, Doug Dice was not really excited until he got another feedback. So, which actually totally changed his mind, or he got elated. So, any guess what was the other feedback? So when I said the throughput has increased, the patients per day scanned. Number two, anesthesia visits has come down, which is supposed to be coming down. The cost has to come down, and customer satisfaction, which has to increase, it has increased. So all the metrics which are supposed to increase, they have increased. Which are supposed to decrease, they have decreased. But he was not still
satisfied or happy until he got that another feedback? Anything?
Cost.
Cost I already mentioned. Cost has come down. Cost of treatment has come down.
I'm not talking about treatment. Cost of the equipment.
Cost of the equipment is same. Only the look and feel has changed. That's all. And only when the cost has gone up, you will be happy because he is seller, right? So G is the seller.
Maybe the kids are so happy.
Crying has stopped.
Sir?
Crying. Babies
Crying has stopped. Yes. Yeah.
I think the kids ask when they can come back next or something.
Exactly. So I think you are also partially right. So one of the children, she was asking his dad, so can we come here again? So can we come here? The child thought that this is almost like a theme park. So that made the day of Duck Dice. So he got super excited and he was so happy, and he was happy with this release of the G Adventure series. This is a classic example for design thinking because he started empathizing on that particular group of people. Empathy is the first starting point for design thinking. Then they try to come out with innovations in an iterative process, and finally they were happy with the customers' feedback. So any other feedback from this story? This is one of the business stories I regularly tell, and most of the design thinking faculty members used to tell this story. So what are the other takeaways from this?
Continuous innovation.
Continuous innovation, okay. Continuous innovation is needed. So you should not get satisfied with the first iteration. You have to keep on inventing. Anything else?
Customer feedback is there.
user experience.
Yes, ma'am.
Customer feedback. Work on the customer feedback.
Customer feedback in the sense of the feedback from the hospital or for
From the kids, in this scenario, it's from the kids when the kids were not satisfied, they were not happy, and he worked upon the feedback and he.
Empathy.
Yes, absolutely. You got the point. So here the feedback, so I'll try to elaborate a little more. So though a lot of metrics were collected, all the metrics, they are all quantitative metrics, quantitative feedback. But the child, when she asked her dad, can we come here? So that was a qualitative feedback. So most of the time in organizations, what we used to do is, we try to conduct a satisfaction survey with our customers. We will send a form and ask people to rate. So how is our service? Between 1 to 5, the richest scale. So people tend to put 3. So that is the middle value, safe. I don't want to give you high rating. I don't want to demotivate you. So most of the time they'll put 3 for everything. And the next year again, after 6 months or after 1 year, they will again go for the resurvey. And this time probably they'll say, last year I gave 3, this time I'll give 3.2. So the moment they got this feedback, then they will get elated and say, hey, for last year we were 3 out of 5, now we got 3.2 out of 5. Doesn't mean anything, right? So for the customers as well as the team members, from 3 to 3.5 does not matter anything. But whereas if a customer is giving a qualitative feedback, I am so happy with your products, I am so happy with your service, when someone is giving. So today even many product companies in their website, they have the, video testimonial. Some customers, they will come in front of the camera and they get so excited. I don't want to give it in writing because even when I give it in writing, no one will read. I want to give it as a video recording, and then you are free to put it in your YouTube channel, or whenever you want to put a kiosk in any exhibition, you can use my face. So that is the kind of feedback that is important. So from single story, now we get multiple takeaways. So you can choose such kind of stories, and then when you interact with the stakeholders, you can tell all such kind of stories, and instead of you revealing the key takeaways, you can tell the audience. Each one will have a different kind of perception, and each one will have a different kind of takeaway. So this is when now, yes sir.
One point I would like to highlight is it's not just our first line customers. Actually, we have to go beyond first line customer to the user level satisfaction to get the better outcome.
Exactly. So this is where, especially when I talk about design thinking, so we say that we have to empathize on customers. So it includes customers. For example, when I was part of an IT organization, we were trying to internally do an exercise. So how to improve the employee delight on a specific area. One group was working on the canteen facilities. So this organization, we have 5,000 associates working in a single campus, and one group was working on the canteen facilities, whether employees are happy with the canteen facilities, and some of us, we were working on the company transportation system. So managers and above, they used to come by car, and almost few thousand people used to come through bike, and almost around 20 to 30 buses used to come day in, day out. So when we did this designing exercise, so we are not just gone to these particular employees who are availing the company services. We have to interview all the stakeholders, starting from the bus driver, the cleaner or the assistant, and then the admin manager who was in charge, because we need to understand the pain area of each one of them. So just if we listen to the customers, they will have a lot of demands, but there will be some challenge, physical, some showstopper will be there, some limitations will be there to overcome these challenges. We have to talk to all these people, and at that point of time only we came to know that there, for every bus there used to be an employee called a route champion. So one of the employees is called route champion. This route champion is none other than a single point of contact. So whenever something goes wrong in the route, for example, there is a procession and we have to take diversion, the driver cannot independently take a decision. The route champion will be involved. And or sometimes if some employee is not well, we have to take him to an hospital, or something happens and we have to go to a police station, the route champion will be involved. So only when we did that kind of exercise, we were able to talk to so many individuals and then try to understand, come out with a comprehensive solution. So as you said, it is not limited to customers, and including all stakeholders who are involving in the delivering aspect. So this is when I thought this storytelling is an interesting concept, and I could find out that storytelling in corporate ambience, it is becoming a buzzword and not many people are talking about it. And I thought of being a Toastmaster, I try to leverage all the learnings on the communication aspect and how to tell a story. So here in corporate, I don't have to create a new story. I have to tell a corporate incident, but I have to tell in an interesting manner. So that is when I started LinkedIn. I think some of you may be familiar that there is something called newsletter. So I started coming out with a weekly newsletter. So each week I used to write an article, and slowly around 3,000 subscribers were there. And at the end, I came out with a book titled Business Storytelling. So this particular storytelling, actually when the newsletter was launched, I was focusing on A to Z of business storytelling. That is 26 elements, starting with authenticity. So as I said earlier, so here in corporate ambience, I cannot tell Tenali Raman story, Birbal story, or fairy tale. I have to tell some story that needs to be authentic and original. And even if it is business related, immediately people will take their mobile device and then they will try to verify whether this incident has happened or not. So I have to pick and choose a relevant story, authentic and original. Number 2 is B stands for brevity. So again in corporate, our review meetings, most of the time given is maximum 60 minutes or maximum 90 minutes. So whether it is customer meeting or team meeting or stakeholder meeting or any kind of peer review meeting, 60 minutes or 90 minutes. So I cannot take liberty and tell a Ramayana or Mahabharata. I cannot steal all others' time. So my story needs to be very, very short and sweet. At the same time, it has to convey the message. The brevity is important. And the third one is characters. Every story need to have some kind of characters. And when I mention characters, I have to tell the name of the person. So when I mentioned the G story, I could have told you that the chief engineer, but instead I mentioned the name Doug Dias. So many of you would not have seen Doug Dias. You are not familiar, but you have seen the picture. So now you will be, even if I have not shown the picture, you would have mentally formed a picture. So whenever you tell a story, bring in characters, and the characters need to have some names. When I tell the story that my friend Krishnan, he was talking to me, the moment I say Krishnan, each one of you have a different kind of mental picture. So instead of that, if I say one of my friends, then it will not make an impact. So that is the power of characters. Then the fourth one is dialogues. So between the characters, some kind of conversation need to happen. So then only you will be able to articulate vocal variety. So I cannot just showcase vocal variety. I cannot raise my volume or reduce the volume. But when there are two characters and when they are exchanging their thoughts or when they are conversing, I can obviously change my volume, tone, pitch. That will make the audience, that will make my story interesting and compelling. Then 5 senses. Try to bring in the visual, auditory, the olfactory, all the 5 senses in your story, because the 5 senses, the moment you start talking about 5 senses, immediately people can be transported to your story. So when I say a story about some restaurant in Madurai, when I try to narrate the authentic idli, how it is appearing and the taste of the chutney, when I start elaborating for 5 minutes, immediately all of you would be transported to that particular place or something similar to that. So that 5 senses are important. And generally in personal storytelling, we elaborate more about emotions, but in corporate storytelling, emotions are not that important compared to logic. So here logic and data points are more important, because I cannot go and do some kind of drama in front of my team members, or cry or even other kind of emotions. Because I am in a corporate, I need to talk more about the logic, data points, facts and figures, but still emotion also have a play on that. Then like that we have 26 such kind of elements, and I tried to compile with this book. It is available in Amazon, sir. Amazon. So this book is published by Notion Press, notionpress.com you can buy, or Amazon, Flipkart you can buy. Right. So let me once again tell. So I told that the storytelling kindles the chemicals, happy chemicals in your brain, and people become attentive. And then, so let me give a practical example how someone has leveraged. This picture, there is a person here in this slide. Can anyone recognize this person?
Yes, right.
Absolutely.
Yes, right.
So he is the chairman of L&T Group, Mr. Nayak. So some 2 decades back, Mr. Nayak was heading L&T Infotech, and he was supposed to visit to US to one of the prospect customers. The sales manager has arranged for the meeting, and all the way they have to bag a huge project, and Nayak went with the sales person, and he went to that particular meeting. But unfortunately, the customer CEO, he was busy with other preoccupations, and he said that the dot of 10 a.m. he he came to the conference room and said, "Sorry guys, I can only talk to you for 10 minutes because I need other pressing engagements. I cannot spare more than 10 minutes. So at that point of time, Mr. Nayak was feeling so bad, right? So he has traveled all the way, and now they have to talk something about their company, about their group company. So 10 minutes will not be sufficient. So immediately he said that, okay sir, I understand your plight, and I understand we are from an Indian company. And by the way, have you ever seen this movie, the Bridge on the River Kwai? So Mr. Nayak asked the customer, has anyone seen this movie? Yes sir. So have you seen this movie Bridge on the River Kwai? So then the customer said, yes, it is a very interesting movie. So do you recollect the climax moment? Yes, of course. That is the most interesting and exciting aspect of that movie. So actually this in the climax of this movie, there will be a scene where there will be a bridge. On the bridge, a train will come, and the bridge will be detonated. So there will be a huge blast. So that is the climax scene. Then the customer, when he resonated and said that, yes, I remember the climax, immediately Mr. Nayak said that actually that climax for the particular while shooting the movie, for the climax scene, the bridge was constructed by our group company, L&T. And they have to detonate that bridge 3 times. So, and then finally director was not happy, and we had to loosen some bolts and nuts so that the bridge could be collapsed. So you can imagine the kind of work we get involved. So that is the quality of our group company. So surprisingly, the CEO who said that he has only 10 minutes, the conversation went up to 90 minutes. And I guess they got the order. I'm not sure about that. So this way, whenever, but again, one caution, right? So he never told that today I want to give you, so though you have only 10 minutes, I want to tell a story. He never told. So casually he asked, have you seen this movie? So when you try to attempt storytelling, it has to be very casual and subtle, and then you have to, of course, it will take some time. You have to practice over a period of time. You can try out with your own team members, and then you can try out with your customers. All that, it is an art. So in fact, the previous session where I gave the session at Andhra Chamber of Commerce, it was titled The Art of Storytelling, Art and Science of Storytelling. So let me conclude with one more story. So as you all know that I am from refining industry. So when I was part of Chennai Petroleum Corporation, we constructed a new expansion project, so doubling the capacity of the project. So at this point of time, we need to meet certain compliance levels, environmental compliance levels. So the refineries, what is their job? What is the functionality of a petroleum refinery? Any idea? Crude oil. Crude oil is the raw material. Convert them into valuable products. Most of these products are fuels, starting from LPG, diesel, petrol, kerosene, aviation turbine fuel. Of course, lubricants and other products are there. Most of them are petroleum fuels. So not only these fuels are burnt in the city by the end customers, even within refinery certain fuels are burnt. One is fuel gas for the fired heater and fuel oil. Both are used. So that's why whenever you pass through a refinery, you see huge stack and the smoke will be coming out. And then we also have something called flare stack. The flare stack, we burn out all the uncontrolled gases. So obviously we are, as a refinery, we are also polluting the ambience. So in order to offset the pollution, the government throughout the world, they have made it a mandatory requirement that every refinery they have to they need to have a green belt. What does it mean? So we have to plant more trees. Right. So this is a compliance requirement, and obviously we will try to, when there is a compliance, we will try to find out the easiest route. So in our refinery, we try to buy the eucalyptus trees and then started planting it. So because that was easy to transport in a truck or lorry and easy to plant it. But these eucalyptus trees, their leaves will be very thick. They will absorb all the moisture from the atmosphere. And these roots will go deep, and every day it will suck 500 liters of water. And no way it is, effective. So because the government has not told what kind of trees need to be planted. So and over a period of time, so these trees were planted near the crude tank farm, and certain tanks started tilting. So these started. And it was not proven, but we suspected it is because the underwater, subsoil water was sucked by the trees, and then water table has gone down, and that is why the tanks have collapsed. And to reconstruct a crude oil tank, it is going to cost several lakhs, so maybe even crores today's cost. So this is what happened. Whereas this company, Reliance Jamnagar Refinery, when they constructed the world's largest refinery in Jamnagar, Gujarat, so it was the biggest and the most complex refinery. So they tried to think on something different. Any guess? What did they do? So of course, this refinery is called a zero discharge refinery. None of the effluent will go out. So all the treated water will be reused, either for your cooling towers or for heat exchangers, etc., etc. It is called zero discharge. Normally in other refineries, the treated water will be let out into the canal or river stream or sea. But here they have decided not to let it out. And of course, this area is also having salty sand, Uvarnilam. But they have to plant something. Any idea what they did? So they tried to bring in mango varieties, and then they started planting mango trees. So people thought that the mango will never grow in that kind of soil, which is highly rich in salt. Even the land will look like. Sorry. Laptop battery is gone. How many more minutes here? So these people, many no say the naysayers were there, and people started objecting this will not happen, but they decided to plant mango trees, and as on date they have more than 120 different varieties of mango. So then they started planting 120 different types of mango, and today Reliance not only the largest refinery in the world, Reliance is also the largest exporter of mangoes in the entire continent. So that is the out-of-box thinking. So they try to convert a challenge into opportunity, and then they started a new SBU. So next to Reliance, then we also have the SR refinery, which is almost a similar capacity. So they also started aping the same best practices, and probably I think they are the second largest exporter of mango. So Reliance and SR group, they are the largest grower of mangoes. So these are all some of the interesting anecdotes. No problem. No problem. Just two slides. So these are all some of the interesting corporate stories, and if at all you can share these kind of stories to convey different kind of messages. Unfortunately, I am unable to show that framework. I try to come out with a framework, so there will be a kind of Excel sheet, and in the organization we talk on several, what is that, system on பண்ணுங்க இல்ல இது ஆன் பண்ண முடியாது இப்ப பவர்ல. It's okay. So in organization, day in day out, as I said earlier, the leaders and managers talk to team members, talk to stakeholders, and ultimately we do not just for the sake of talking, they are talking. So ultimately, finally they have to talk on certain core values. What are these core values? For example, a manager may talk about the team building. So he will tell how to be a successful team members. So he will talk about team members. Is it HP? So one is what is the team building, then honesty, integrity, then what else? Organization, core values, profitability, customer centricity, quality, what else? Trust, problem solving. So for each one of them, you put it in the Excel sheet, in the x-axis, and you try to have one story for each one of them. For example, one story may have several core values it may touch upon. So you try to have this Excel sheet for each one of us, and every time now you try to tell one story and experiment it and how it goes well. And if it is going well, then you can improvise it. Either you can cut short the story, or you can try to add little more flavor of emotion, logic, etc., etc. So that is where you start connecting with the audience. The moment you start connecting with the audience, then you can get your things done. So because ultimately now you want your stakeholders to do some activities. So it is every meeting now it is almost like a persuasive speech. At the end you are calling for some action and people have to respond. And if this is to happen, communication alone is not sufficient. So communication, though the theoretical definition says that it is a two-way exchange of thoughts, but communication alone is not sufficient. You have to connect with your stakeholders, connect with the audience. For that, storytelling is the best solution. So with that, I'll conclude. Probably I can take a few questions. Yeah. Eight 15. Any questions?
Questions, sir?
Yeah, any questions, please use.
Yeah, it's
Mr. Paul.
It was wonderful listening to you.
Thank you.
My question very simple. You mentioned quite often you mentioned customers. Can you please little elaborate?
Okay. For example, if I try to come out with a solution, I'll take example from my own domain. So if I want to build some solution or try to come out with some kind of activity for my customers, it can be Indian Oil or BPCL.
but they also have customers, right? So they have retail customers. My customers is B2B, their customers are B2C. So that, they also have B2B. So they are also supplying aviation fuel to the other airline companies. So we need to take care of all of them. So
Thank you
that is
very
what
much.
customers
Well
are.
explained. Thanks a lot.
End user is the ultimate customer.
You mentioned about business stories to deliver some messages. Actually, do you feel it's an advantage to tell a story and deliver the message, or straight away, let us take the case of Tirukkural, it's a couplet, the message is stronger, but we need to have a story lengthening the duration. What is your experience on it?
No, so here when I mention business stories, it is all about corporate incidents or case studies. So no Gyan, no Tirukkural, no Naladiya, nothing. So not even this. I also gave an example about the balloon story. So though it was motivating, so that is not business storytelling. Business storytelling is all about corporate incidents. For example, what happened in Enron, what happened in Reliance, what happened in GE, or your own examples, or your personal example with the organization. Personal example means not happened in your personal life. So when I joined this company, this is how we started working, and this is how we try to build the team. This is how we built so many other units. That you can tell, because that is your corporate experience, personal corporate experience. So any stories related to the business that can be told to the audience in the business ambience.
In a way that stays in their mind for a longer period.
Right. Yes, sir.
One more question. Sir, of course, a story will have multiple takeaways. Say for example, success story. A success story. Adani is one of the most successful businessmen in India today, but then there is also controversy attached to that. In such a situation, how is the impact likely to be? Is the takeaway successful, or the people take it in the right?
As a storyteller, as a leader, you have to get convinced. So only when you are convinced, you can tell. So just because they have touched the numbers, just because their market share increased, doesn't mean. Of course, success. The definition is different, and each one has got their own definition, right? So the success, it is not just based on numbers; it also based on other soft aspects. So if you are convinced with a story, you can tell. If you are convinced. If you are not convinced, never tell a story.
But to avoid such.
Yes, I am not telling about this particular case. But it is up to you. You have to take the call. And the main thing here is even sometimes you need not have to tell a story, but the storytelling methodology, right? So because today, as I said, no. So I thought my last employment was the IT organization. Today, whenever some leaders comes, people don't respond, and I thought the IT world has changed. But when I went back to my ex-colleagues in the oil and gas industry, they were also saying the same thing, right? Because no leader was charismatic, no leader was able to pull crowd, no one had got that kind of halo. No? So earlier, when I was part of refinery, when the director operation comes, immediately people will get up and then they will be curious to listen to him. Such kind of leaders were there. Heroes, actually, they were heroes. So of course, they talk the walk and walk the talk. Such kind of people were there. So today, because it is an attention deficient world and people are always going after their own targets. So today I have my problem. I need to resolve my problem. So I am not interested in talking to you anything extra. So if you have any solution to solve my problem, I am ready to listen. So that is the kind of selfish motive, people are talking. So everything is based on transaction. So the talking has come down, and talking in a casual manner has come down. So that is why I am suggesting storytelling. I think one more question, the last.
So what is the fundamental reason of story liking? Why do people like stories?
Yeah, story, as I said, it is actually scientifically proven that the audience, the moment you tell stories, so these chemicals are produced, the oxytocin, then dopamine. So these chemicals are produced and people become curious to, especially when you maintain suspense level. Right? So in some of these slides I mentioned, so what is the answer? Any guess? So immediately, many of you know, you are curious to know the second slide. So what will be the answer? So you pay more attention. So people like, that's why now the movies, even today movie industry, a lot of young directors, they know how to leverage this, how to have the perfect blend of suspense, the action-packed items. So it becomes a box office hit, right? So same thing.
One of the reason is many of us are very poor listeners. Okay, to make them too attentive and listening, the storytelling is
Absolutely.
Gentlemen, I think
Yes, sir.
close it.
Last
You
question.
want to take it in lunch, dinner time.
Thank you so much for a wonderful session. The point I would like to iterate is it's not limited to the corporate world. I could even say, despite having the startup status, now heroes are telling stories in the libraries and movies. That's the kind of impact storytelling is creating. So I think we should at least start practicing what you say.
Correct, exactly. So definitely it cannot be learned overnight, so we have to start attempting it, and every one of us, we need to have a, what is it, story file. Story file is nothing but you can take a book and then you can note down all the incidents that has happened to you. You can note down all the incidents happened to your own team members or the public domain, all popular stories. Either put it in a notebook or put it in a Google Doc, and then try to categorize based on the corporate core values. Some story will have a message about customer centricity. Some will have message related to honesty, integrity. So like that. So once you take conscious effort, immediately that will come to, so you don't have to actually practice. The moment you go to a meeting, automatically from the subconscious mind, it will pop up and then you will tell a story in a subtle manner.
So what
Like
last?
small bits of information, small stories, no? Over a period of 20 years.
Sir, during dinner time, can we take up, sir? I think we are getting delayed, that's why, yeah.
Thank you
Sorry,
so much.
huh?
Thank you
Sorry.
for a wonderful audience.
Oh, sorry, I think we have to close in time, that's why we have to force to close it, sorry. Okay. We have come to end of this today's seminar. To facilitate our dynamic speaker for the day, Mr. Sundararaman Chintamani. Now I request Mr. R. Palanimurugan, our Honorary Secretary of IIF SR, to facilitate with Angavastram, please. So now I request our Mr. K. Varadarajan, IIF Chennai chapter past chairman. Sir, Vanga, give him with memento, please. Thank you, sir. Gentlemen, I think indeed we had a very good session, and I could see a lot of questions flow in. I think the takeaways are a lot. I think biggest challenge would be like, no, nowadays we have to compete with the WhatsApp circulation while telling stories. If you start selling, I think people saying, I already seen it in WhatsApp. That is the biggest challenge. இப்போ ரீசெண்டாக நிறைய வார்த்தை கேட்கலாம், ரொம்ப கிரிஞ்சாக இருக்குது, கம்பி கட்ட கதெல்லாம் சொல்கிறான் அப்படின்னு ஆரம்பிச்சிடுறாங்க. It's the biggest challenge. I think I'm sure that with Sir's input, we will do a lot of mastering in this. That would help us to communicate better, not only our official group, even with our children and society. That would make us a better person. And thank you, sir. Thanks for a wonderful session. I would like to thank our speaker, Mr. Sundararaman sir, for his taking time as busy schedule and giving us a wonderful session today. And we also would like to thank all the members from IIF and MMA who has come in the physical form and attendance, because nowadays attending physical programs become a challenge. Everybody are convinced with webinars. Getting people on physical is very, very tough. I think you have spent your time, and thank you very much. We value for your time. And we from Chennai chapter conducting many such webinars, not only for management, and we also technical session for the foundrymen. We will pass on this information, and we request you to support us on Tandatam so that it will motivate us to do a lot of programs. And we have been communicating this. IIF Chennai chapter has got our YouTube channel. All our webinars and technical programs, even today programs, are getting hosted in our YouTube channel. We request you to subscribe and get benefit out of that. And thank you once again for your valuable time, for your attention. Thank you very much.